In this video, we're going to discuss studying for math tests. Studying for math tests can be a little bit different than other classes. It's not just memorizing and just repeating and placing back on your paper. It's a little bit different. There is still memorization involved. You have to memorize things, but then you have to apply that knowledge as well. You have to know the formulas, you have to know the definitions, but then we have to be able to solve the problems with that too. So it's a little bit different. It really does take practice. Two keys to studying for a math test: practice and start early. Those are the two big things. The goal really should be, by the time you get to the math test, the day before the math test, you don't need to study. Maybe do a few problems, look over your notes one last time, but you've been studying the entire unit up to that point. Now, first thing you do need to know how to do is to memorize, because there are some formulas and basic definitions you do just need to know. And so maybe note cards work for you. So for instance, I've got it upside down, but here we have slope. I have my equation on the other side. So if note cards work for you in other classes, great. Stick with that for that first round of memorization. You've got to know the formulas. Slight variation on this, what I like to do, what always worked for me, if I needed to know a formula or how slope, for instance, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, if I need to know that for my class, and really you're going to need to know that for a lot of math classes, it's going to be one that should stick with you for a while. But if I need to sit down and memorize that new formula to me, I would write it down on a card, piece of paper, whatever, have it kind of sitting somewhere, put it off to the side where I couldn't see it. And I'd try to write it down myself. Let's say, all right, m equals y2 minus y1. Maybe I get stuck. And if I do, I'm going to pull that note card back up. I'm going to look at, oh, is over x2 minus x1. I'm going to try to write it down. And then about 5 minutes later, I'm going to try to write it down again. By forcing myself into trying to remember it, it sticks with me. It stuck with me a little bit better. So maybe every 5 minutes for the first time I do that, I have a new formula here every 5 minutes. I could be sitting in a psychology class, something completely different, taking notes, have a slight pause. What is that formula again? I'm going to try and write it down on my piece of paper. I do that every 5 minutes for the first hour. Then once I feel like I'm getting it, right, I'm not having to look at it as much, right? It's kind of just coming back to me. I'm not looking at my note card anymore. I've shoved it in my backpack. Well, now I'm going to go every half an hour. After half an hour, I'm going to try and write down that formula. And then after the first, after I do that for a few hours, again, it's kind of sticking with me. Maybe I'm going to wait till that evening and do it again. And then I'm going to just do it maybe once a day until I really am sure that it's stuck with me. But again, you can hear this is a long-term strategy. Every day for maybe a couple weeks, that's how long it's going to take me to memorize that formula. It doesn't take me long each day, right? Each time I'm asking, it takes 5 seconds. Just say, all right, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I got it, right? It takes me 5 seconds. And maybe I have 20 different formulas I need to do that for. So in total, it's just a minute or two. I'm asking myself these questions, but I've got to do it for a long, extended period of time. Studies have shown if you spread out your learning over a longer period of time, you're much more successful in trying to cram it into very, very small windows. So sitting down the day before the test to learn is not effective, right? At that point, it's too late. That's the first step. We have to know the definitions. We have to know the formulas. From there, we have to know how to apply it. And math really does just take practice. You may have heard this before, but it's like a basketball player shooting free throws. I can't just walk down to the basketball court, pick up a basketball, and expect to make 80% of my free throws, right? If I'm going to become the next Steph Curry, I've got to practice. I'm a UNC fan. I went to UNC, and Marcus Page, very famous UNC player, very good player. He was known that after practice ended, so they've already done 2 hours of practice, 2 hours of drilling, all their scrimmages, everything. After practice ended, he would stay after and shoot 100 shots from every single position. He had 5 positions around the 3-point line. He'd shoot 100 shots because it takes that practice to really get good at it until you're not even thinking about what you're doing. You're just going through the motions that your body has learned. It's the same thing with math, same thing with any subject. You've got to sit down and you've got to just do that skill over and over and over again. And once you do so many attempts at it, it's just second nature. You're not even thinking about it. You're not even having to remember anything. It's just, oh, that's the problem. I'm going to start writing it down. So to get that repetition in, you've got to start early. Can't just wait till the day before the test. But the homework is the first step in this. The homework's going to get you a little bit of this practice, but not enough. The homework is showing you what you need to work on more. And so I'd recommend is pull out a textbook, pull out some notes, whatever it is, whatever platform you're using, and practice more like that. If you don't have a great textbook, or if you just want another place to go for extra problems, you can look up worksheets online. This is a site I really like, Kuda Software. You can look it up, it's free, and you can see all the different subjects that they have. And again, all the different practice problems they have. And on each of these practice pages, they have the problems, multiple, and also an answer key. So you can go in and check yourself too. Each of these worksheets has anywhere around 20 questions or so. So you can see there's just a lot of examples that you can practice. And that's just around this one subject. You can go to any of the different topics in math. And so just by getting that practice in, by doing it over and over and over again, it really does help it sit in. I always like to say that when I'm doing problems on the board or when I'm working problems out for you, as any teacher will tell you, my job is to make it look easy. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing a very good job. So my goal is to make that problem look easy. But once you have to take it and do it by yourself, that's when you're gonna find out if you really know it or not. When I watch Steph Curry shoot basketballs, he makes it look very easy. If I pick up that basketball, go out to the court, I will tell you I cannot score to save my life. And so it takes that practice. You've got to do it yourself. You can't just sit down and watch videos. You can't just read over your notes. That's not good enough. That might be a necessary step to make sure you haven't forgotten any of the topics. But you've got to sit down and you've got to practice problems. That is the best way to get good at math.